Welcome to the Travel Ones podcast. And today my guest is Dougie Hall. Dougie is a bareback bronc rider and also a bronc trainer. I guess I don't know if that's the proper term, but he's also doing some public speaking and motivational speaking. So I'd like to introduce Dougie Hall. How are you today, Dougie?
I'm doing good. I'm actually a saddlebronc rider, and then
okay.
Yeah, just I train horses too, and I also raise bucking horses and train saddle horses.
Well, so for my non-rodeo listeners, what's the difference between a saddle bronc rider and a bronc rider?
And a bareback bronc rider?
Yeah.
Saddle bronc rider, they call it the classic event of rodeo, and it stems from the training of a young colt. You know, the ranchers back in the day, come springtime or whenever, they would have to, they needed to get their automobile. Their automobile back then was the horse. Well, you couldn't just go out and start it, jump on and go. You had to take them to school. And as humans, we're a prey animal. And then if you look at, humans were a predator and a horse is a prey animal. I had that backwards. The horse's natural instinct is to,
get away.
Yeah, get away from us. And the cowboys had to get the horse to understand that we weren't trying to eat them. We were just trying to develop a relationship so that we could make a living off of cows. The cowboys needed to get on the horse and ride for miles and miles a day to go and gather the cattle and doctor the cows and stuff. And that's kind of where that stems from, is the saddle bronc ride. And so is the training of young horses to not buck.
Well, why is there the sport of bareback bronc riding?
I have no idea. To me, I'm not trying to knock bareback riders or nothing, but I have no idea how they got that going. I think it was just kind of a buddies gathering around, watch this kind of a thing.
Okay, so here's what I was explained to me one time. I think it was at Quarters Congress in Columbus, Ohio, at the horse show. And I was talking to a guy who's selling horses, and we started talking about rodeo, and I was new to the industry. And he goes, the only thing he doesn't like watching is bull riding. And I go, why is that? I go, that's the most popular event. He goes, that's not why. He said, every other sport, every other event in rodeo had something to do with being on the ranch. Meaning you had to rope, you had to tie down, you had to race your horses, you had to make them quick and fast and agile for barrel racing. So all the other events kind of came from things you actually had to do on the ranch, but no one had to ride a bull. And I'm like, all right, that's kind of cool with that, because it makes sense, like what you were just saying. Saddle bronc, it wasn't just a sport. It comes from trying to teach the horses how to be ridden.
Yeah.
And tie down roping, if they're branding and doing that kind of thing, and team roping, working as a group. So it made sense to me.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's a couple of them. Seems like you kind of wonder where they stem from. Like the bareback riding, that what they do is they wedge their hand into basically a suitcase handle. I mean, wedge, like their hand it's got a big thick leather glove with wedges on it. And then, they jam their hand in that suitcase handle, and once it's in there, it ain't coming out unless you got to use a lot of force to pry it out of there. It's same rules in the saddle bronc riding. The first jump out of the chute, you got to have your spurs above the point of the horse's shoulder, and you got to be in contact and stuff. And anyway, I have no idea, like I said, how they started that, or
well, well, it's kind of like, and not all the rodeos have it. I only saw it once at Pendleton, was the Indian relays.
Yeah.
So explain that.
The Indian relays?
Yeah. I want people to Google that.
Well, back in the day when, to me, the way I understood it, because I actually grew up around Indian relay. My dad and uncle had an Indian relay team. We traveled all over the state of Montana, just following the circuit. when I was a little guy. And the way I understood it is, those your fastest horses, those are your buffalo runners. Those are the horses you use to go out and hunt. Provide for your family.
Mm-hmm.
And well, when Native Americans would, they loved social gatherings. They loved to be social, community gatherings, just family time. And when they got together, one thing that the natives love to do and still do to this day is gamble. It's kind of
Sure.
Like a family pastime. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they show up and they would bet on horse races. Like what they would do, like whether they would bet, like if you win, you get my horse, or things like that. Something that the other person could use. And to me, I think that's how Indian relay got its start, was just kind of the bartering and, the family and friend fun of racing and betting and stuff like that.
I mean, it's a crazy race.
Yeah.
I mean, to watch it, I was like, wow, okay. I don't know that I'd want to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's kind of the same thing as how, basically kind of how rodeo got its start too, is
sure.
Like one rancher would say, I bet my cowboy can ride your broncs, but I bet your cowboy can't ride my broncs.
Yep.
Kind of a thing. And saying, like Native Americans, same thing. I bet my buffalo runner can beat your buffalo runners, but yours, just kind of just friendly.
Yeah. Talking
friendly,
smack.
Yeah. Talking smack and it's all about a good time and smiling and laughing, because one thing you always hear natives say is laughter is good medicine.
It's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your background is you went to high school, you got high school finals as a saddle bronc rider.
Yeah.
And then you went to college was it on a scholarship, or were you just on the rodeo team?
I went to college on a rodeo scholarship. Yeah.
At Montana Western.
Yep, Montana Western in Dillon.
So what did you graduate from college?
Yeah, I did. I actually graduated from college with 2 bachelor's degrees and then 2 associates.
What did you graduate in?
Bachelor's in business administration, bachelor's in natural horsemanship.
Nice.
An associate's in natural horsemanship, and an associate's in equine management.
So that hopefully, I think that the smartest thing you did was take the business as well.
Yeah, no, I did that just because, I don't know, I think no matter what you do in this world, I think you gotta be business savvy somehow.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a lot of people will just take the ag part or the equine part, and then when they get out into the business world, they're like, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So that's a good double. So how much traveling are you doing right now? Well, maybe not now, but obviously pre-COVID and when the rodeos were happening for your bronc training.
For like roads, like traveling to rodeos and competing?
Yeah.
I was mostly just sticking around the state of Montana, just the Montana circuit.
Okay.
So I was in the Montana circuit, and once in a while I'd venture out and go like to some Columbia River, or shoot, I think I even went down. I went down to Arizona a couple times.
Well, then you went to Course Gold for some training. Course Gold, California.
Oh yeah. I went to Course Gold for some training. A good friend of mine, George Veeder's got a ranch there, and he's got a lot of really nice bucking horses, and it's just a great atmosphere to be around. Be around what I like to call 90-point people.
Yeah. For you non-rodeo people, a 90-point person is a good person.
Yeah.
An exceptional person.
Yeah, very, very exceptional person.
Yeah. So you're living up in Browning, Montana?
Yeah.
Which for my listeners, it's considered a town of about 1,000 people, give or take. Is that about right?
I couldn't tell you. To be honest, I have no idea what the population is, but no matter how many there are there, I'm related to all of them. I can guarantee that.
it's so like my daughter's high school graduated 2,300 people.
Oh, that's a lot of people.
You know, and then there's 4 high schools within driving distance of me, of the same size. You know, so when I tell people like it's a town of 1,000 people, but there's nothing else around it. I mean, what's the next closest town or city to you? Like maybe Blackfoot, but Blackfoot.
Like a big city or kind of a big city.
Yeah, kind of a big city.
Like probably Kalispell, Montana, and Great Falls, Montana are the closest, and probably the only city that in Montana, in the state of Montana, that people would maybe recognize the name of is like Billings. Billings is a big one.
Yeah, Billings.
That's like 7 hours from here.
How far is Kalispell?
Kalispell's like an hour and a half.
So an hour and a half to a decent sized city.
Yeah. Well, actually, if you go into Canada, Calgary, Alberta is only like maybe 3 hours from here.
No, that's right.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty big city. And
yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah. So you're on the I'm going to say this wrong because it's so weird to me. The Blackfeet Indian Reservation.
Yep.
But in Canada, it's considered the Blackfoot Indian Reservation. Is that right?
Yeah. You see, like we're the same tribe, you know.
Yeah.
Because the Blackfeet, that's what I guess you'd say the settlers called our tribe. And the story goes is that when the settlers, or I don't know who it was, first came across my tribe of Plains Indians, was that the bottoms of our moccasins were black from walking across like a grass fire, still walking across the ash, so they called us Blackfeet. But there's actually, we're broken up into 4 bands. There's 4 bands of us. And, where I live in Browning, you know, northern, kind of north central, northwest Montana, we're the Amskapi Pakani. That's what we call ourselves. We're the southern pagan, southern Blackfeet.
Okay.
The only reason we got separated from the guys, you know, in Canada is when the government, you know, drew the line, the border, and that's why the Blackfeet didn't really understand the concept of a border, and so, you know, when the government would be, when the government would be, yeah, I guess so. When the government would be chasing my ancestors around, and they went across that imaginary line, and the cavalry quit chasing them, they thought it was magic.
Oh.
So they called it the medicine line because it was big medicine.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
That's pretty great. Like I grew up I was born in Arizona. And when our football games when I was a kid, we'd go over to the community college, which was the Pima Maricopa Reservation. It was the two Indian tribes, and so we played on the reservation, and it just didn't matter to me. You know what I mean? It's like it was kind of weird.
Yeah.
Because it was just the next street over, and that's just where we had to go play football. So, but now, like, oh, you played on a reservation. What was it like? I'm like, I don't know. Just like playing anywhere else. I didn't.
Yeah.
It's kind of a trip. So you love being from Montana and being up there. Do you ever think about moving away, or is where you're at where you're at?
I don't know. I'm pretty open to interpretation. I mean, I've been a lot of places, you know, around the country, but I'll tell you one thing. There's no place like Montana, to be honest with you.
No, not even close.
And if I could live here, you know, for the rest of my life, that'd be great. But if God has a different plan and, you know, another place is going to work out better, then that's fine too. But I guess the main thing is I'll always remember where I'm from.
Oh, sure. I mean, that'll never go away.
Mm.
You know, what are your goals and your aspirations coming up? And I'm curious because, well, let's go ahead and get into it. I guess what's kind of your background and what has inspired you?
My background?
Yeah.
So kind of like my life story, kind of a deal.
Yeah, I mean, in a nutshell. I mean, and it's hard for me to talk about because I lost my mom suddenly too. But if you can kind of give us a background of what you want to be a motivational speaker about, and how you feel you can motivate people.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, my background is, I grew up here on the Blackfeet Reservation, and as I grew up, there was a lot of people that I know and love that I realized that they struggle with alcohol. Alcoholism's a big problem on a lot of different reservations.
Sure.
One thing I've learned about alcoholism is that alcoholics, they're not bad people. They're very good people, but that alcohol causes them to say and do a lot of bad things. And growing up, I saw, and I was always told that, if you want to go anywhere in life, especially being an Indian, you probably should just leave alcohol alone. And my mom actually had me promise her that when I was a little boy, that I would never drink alcohol, and I promised her that I wouldn't. And there's a lot of people that I've seen have a lot of potential to do a lot of things and go a lot of places, but that drink always came first.
Yeah.
And it ruined things for them. And anyway, so when I was about 14 years old, my family and I were having dinner at this restaurant. It's a Mexican restaurant called Serrano's in East Glacier, Montana. And it was a good evening. I mean, we were all just kind of laughing and having a good dinner and visiting and telling jokes and stories and whatnot. Anyway, it came time for us to go home, and we got in the truck to leave. And I got in the truck, and my mom looked in the back seat, and I wasn't going to buckle up because our house isn't very far, from East Glacier. And she looked and saw that I didn't buckle up, and she asked me, she said, "Are you going to put your seatbelt on?" Which, is mom code for put your damn seatbelt on,
Yeah.
And she gave me that look. So I put my seatbelt on, and she saved my life right then and there. And we're driving home on Highway 2 between East Glacier and Browning. And we are just west of Browning, probably about 2 miles. And I'm sitting behind my dad, and my dad's driving. My sister and my mother are up in the front, and 2 of my cousins and myself are in the back. And all of a sudden, I feel our truck swerve, and I hear my older sister up in the front seat, and she yelled no. And so I peeked around the front seat, and when I did that, I saw a pair of headlights coming at us. And by that time, they were so close, I knew there was no avoiding it, and there was nothing I could do. Just this helpless feeling came over me, and there was nothing I could do. I just sat back in my seat, and we hit. There was only one person that didn't survive that crash, and it was my mother. That moment changed my life forever because I realized how short life can be, because right before we got hit, my mom, she was singing to the radio and laughing and things like that. Everything was perfect.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, boom, my life changes, and my mom's dead. The lady that hit us was intoxicated.
And she survived too?
Yeah, she did.
Oh.
Yeah. I, from that moment on, I don't know, for a while, I was really a depressed kid, because I was a mama's boy,
I know the feeling.
I slept in the same bed with my mom until I was, until that day, until I was 14 years old. I was really withdrawn and depressed for quite a long time. I remember waking up, and this is going to sound screwed up, but it's the truth. I'd wake up and pray to God to kill me, to take me and put me with my mother. That's how lonely I was. And it wasn't until one day, I'd sleep in and I'd just lay in bed and cry all morning. And one day my uncle, my dad's brother, he walked in and he said, "That's enough. Time to start living again." And he said, my Uncle Craig, just down the road here, he said he's moving his cows to summer pasture, and you're going to come, and we're going to ride horseback. And these horses haven't been rode for probably about a year.
So they're not going to be happy about it.
Yeah, they're not going to be happy about it. They were pretty fresh and just coming off the green grass. And my uncle told me, I'll pick the horse you ride and you can pick the horse I ride. You know, you want to be a bronc rider. And like, he literally, that moment changed my life and it saved my life, because I remember he picked a horse that we had. He was kind of an outlaw. You know, he knew like anytime he got on this horse, he knew he was going to buck, and I was dead scared of him. I would never, ever touch this horse. And that's the horse my uncle picked for me to ride.
Of course.
So I went from this little kid that was just upset and crying every day and praying for death, you know, for God to take me out of this world, to actually being afraid for my life, you know?
Yeah.
And, anyway, everything was going good. And then, you know, that horse didn't really do anything with me. And we get out in the pasture and I could see the herd of cows coming with, you know, and my other uncles just down the road were bringing them up. So I kind of, you know, I kicked my horse up to a lope, and I mean, this horse just flat cut in two with me. I mean, just started bucking and hard as he could. And I remember, just in the back of, I mean, like within earshot, you know, my uncle Winslow, my dad's brother, when that horse started bucking with me, instead of like trying to save me or help me or anything like that, he started war whooping.
Oh.
You know, like giving war cries at me, like encouraging me. And he was like cheering me on, and like it just went from being scary to being fun, like it was play. And after that horse quit bucking, you know, I never felt so alive. And that.
How old were you about this? About 15, or was this pretty?
Yeah, I was probably about like 15 years old. And
okay.
It just changed my life. That one moment, you know, I realized that I'm here for a reason, and that those horses, whether they're, you know, horses have always put my heart in a good spot, and especially that day. And that day it was a bucking horse, so I guess I just kind of fell into it, and they saved my life, and they continue to do that.
Well, not literally falling into it.
Yeah, not literally falling in, but
what makes a horse buck?
It's a lot of, you can't really make a horse buck. It's all got to be in them. It's all inside of them. You know, they're going to do whatever they want to do. You know what I mean? And, bloodlines do help. Bloodlines help out a lot. So like being bred to do it, having a breeding program, their parents did it, and their grandparents did it, and, you know, grandparents before them did it, you know, having that bred into them, you know.
That's what I try to explain to people too.
Yeah.
You know, they're not forced to buck, right?
Yeah. No, they're not. It's bred into them to do it, but I've also seen horses that have the best bucking horse bloodlines in the world, you know, that comes time to do it. And I've seen some of them come out and just swish their tails and walk off.
Exactly.
You know, it's just like, they're no different than people. Like,
yep.
Like you take a look at my brother. My brother, he's a medical doctor, you know, and me, I like riding bucking horses. You know, it's kind of a night and day kind of a thing. And same goes for horses. There's not one of us is the same, and not one of them are the same. And if there was, then one of us would be unnecessary.
Well, that's like I said, that's the thing. I know there is some negative connotations towards the rodeos and all that, but man, everything I've seen, the stock contractors take care of their animals really well.
Oh yeah, every stock contractor, you know, every stock contractor I've ever met, you know, they love those animals. They're all animal lovers, horse lovers. You know, they get grain, you know, anywhere from 5 to 10 pounds of grain every morning. You know, they're on good grass. If they're not on good grass, they're getting fed good hay. And a bucking horse actually lives probably the best life of any horse out there because they only got to work, but not even 5 minutes their whole lifetime.
In 8-second increments, yeah.
Yeah, just 8-second increments, and they're, throughout their whole life, they just go out there and buck somebody off, or they're become a partner for a 90-point or 80-point or whatever dance, and then they just go into the back pens and eat some more hay and grain and go about their business.
What do you think? I love that you do a victory dance, and it's not a victory that you're going to win, but you do a dance when you get done riding a horse, right?
Yeah.
What do you think has made you have such a positive attitude after some of the bad things that have happened to you?
Because
there are people that have a crappy attitude and they haven't been through anywhere near what you've been through.
Shoot, I don't know. I was just kind of, I guess, to me, where it comes from is it's always been like, the people that, because I didn't get this way by myself. I've had a lot of help. It takes a tribe to raise a kid. And I've always been raised to realize that there's always a light at the end of the tunnel, and there's always a good way to look at something, no matter how negative it could be, and that no matter where you are or what you've been through, you can always recover. Like, I remember one time when I was a little kid, my dad, he walked me over to the creek in the middle of winter, and he handed me a stick and a shoelace and said, "Make a fire." And I'm sitting there freezing, and I don't know, he kind of gave me some direction on how to do it, and he pointed me in the right direction. And it wasn't until after about 2 hours, I finally got this fire to go. And after the fire started smoking and smoldering, I was pouring sweat. I was not but maybe 11, 12 years old. He looked at me, and all he said was, your mom and I aren't always going to be here. You need to learn how to take care of yourself." And to me, the way I understood it, I didn't realize what he was trying to tell me at the moment. I thought he was just kind of a jerk. But after a while, I realized that he was telling me that the most important tool you ever need in this world is yourself. That as long as you have yourself and you can get a stick and a shoelace, you can build a pretty big fire, no matter where you're at or where you're from.
I think it's telling, because I feel the same way about my dad. Like, at the time, I thought, man, what a jerk. I give me for my dad. Back in my day, when I was a kid, we'd go to the arcade, and arcade games at the time cost 25 cents. So I'd come home, and I was probably 12, 13, and I go, "Hey, Pop, can I get some quarters for the arcade game?" And he'd throw me a quarter, and I'd be like, "Okay." I go, "It's 1 quarter." He goes, "Yeah." And I go, "Can I get more quarters?" He goes, "How much does the game cost?" I go, "It's a quarter, but it's only lasts one game." He goes, "Well, get better at it." And then I go, "Well, yeah, but I need to get better. I need to play more." He goes, "Well, if you don't want to play, give me the quarter back." I'm like, no, that's good. I'll keep the quarter. Thanks. Thank you. And he'd give me a quarter. So, but it taught me I had to get better because I wanted to play more. So but at the time I thought, man, what a jerk. You couldn't give me 2 quarters? What's going on, man?
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. And then another thing too is I grew up watching my dad's brother, my uncle, ride bucking horses. And, whenever my uncle rode, a lot of guys would be serious, Joe Cool, kind of trying to be the Marlboro man, kind of a cowboy. And my uncle was never like that. He was cool just being him. You know what I mean? And
yep.
He always had fun, and anybody that was ever around him at a rodeo, they were always smiling and laughing. I remember when I was a little boy watching him ride. First time I ever paid attention to a rodeo, it was the Father's Day rodeo in Birch Creek, Montana, and I was probably 5 years old. And I never paid attention to the bronc ride, and I was always rotten kid that was riding the calves in the back pens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And anyway, so like that day, for some reason, I just wanted to watch the bronc ride, and so I'm standing there on the outgate, and I mean, they start loading the bucking horses, and my uncle comes in, and I mean, this thing's snorting and stomping, and you know, and probably the biggest horse I've ever seen in my life. He looks like a fire-breathing dragon, and I remember being so scared, but in such amazement that my uncle was, you know, putting his bronc saddle on this dragon, and he was smiling and laughing while he was doing it. You know, like,
you just think he's crazy.
Yeah, like there's something wrong with you, man.
Exactly.
And he gets on this horse, and I remember when he nods, that horse comes out, and every time that horse's feet would hit the ground, he was so heavy and powerful, you could just hear it thud every time. Oh. And he was jumping and kicking. I mean, this thing, I mean, he was turning it on, and every jump my uncle was just right in time with him. You know, his feet were in the neck, and it didn't look like any stress or strain between the two of them. It didn't look like a fight or anything to me. It just looked like they were, it looked like they were dancing is what it looked like. And I remember as the whistle blew, they were kind of just right in front of me when the whistle blew. And as soon as the whistle blew, he reached up and stuck his spurs in the horse's neck up there, and he looked over at me and smiled.
Oh, wow.
And I guess that memory's always been in my mind ever since that day. That's when I decided that's what I want to do, and that's who I want to be. And yeah, he's always stressed to me to have fun no matter what. You got to enjoy it, have fun with it. You know, that's what God put us here to do, is for our lives to be abundant and for us to enjoy our lives with whatever we enjoy doing.
I think that's the key takeaway. You know what I mean? For whether you're in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, 60s, whatever.
Yeah.
Because I see people my age. I'm in my mid 50s now, almost getting close. Mm-hmm. A couple more months, I'm technically in my mid 50s. And I see people my age that have gone, well, you know, my fun was in my 20s and 30s, and that day's over. And I'm like, wow, really? Yeah. Come on. You know, let's keep going and having fun. It doesn't turn off. And then I see people in their 20s and 30s that are so worked up trying to be successful, whatever that means to them, that they're not enjoying the time that they have. It's weird. So
yeah, for sure. I mean, I guess like the good part of that wreck is I realized, you know, how short life can be, and that's one thing I really admire about my mother, you know, because even before we got hit, she was enjoying life. You know, she was singing and laughing, and yeah, it's all about just enjoying life and being a good person. Because, like, I don't know, like when I get off of a bucking horse and I dance, you know, I guess the best way I could describe it is I'm so happy that I just can't stop moving my feet, and and that every time I do that, because I feel like a lot of people, like everybody, we pack things that don't belong to us. You know what I mean? Like things we worry about, or, you know, things that are bugging us, or, you know, problems or trials or tribulations. And it's like luggage. You're packing this luggage around all day, every day. But to me, when I get on the back of a horse, you know, I'm putting that stuff down. And to me, it's like whenever I do that dance after I ride, I'm not trying to show off. It's just I'm so happy, and then it causes people watching to put their luggage down. You know what I mean? I guess by letting your own light shine and enjoying your life, you unconsciously give other people permission to do the same thing.
That's, you know, that makes you stop and think, though, right? It's like, wow.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. What do you hope to, what are your goals with your public speaking?
My goals? Well, I'd like to, I've done it on a small scale. Like I've talked in classrooms and stuff. And one thing people have always told me is that my story inspired them. inspired them to keep going on with their life or to pursue what they wanted to do, or it helped them when they were in their darkest hour or going through a hard time. And so my goal is to help people, you know, by sharing my experience, strength, and hope. And even if it only reaches maybe one person that's listening, then to me that's enough.
Well, see, I totally agree, and I do the podcast for similar reasons. You know, you hope it reaches more people, but if one person, you know, some of the inspirational people I've had, and you're going to be one of them now, is, you know, if my podcast helps people to reach out to you, you know, then it's worth it.
Yeah, for sure.
Putting the good back into the world. So that's cool. What do you have any public speaking seminar or meetings coming up, or what's on your schedule for the rest of the 2021?
Not yet. I'm just starting to kind of delve into that. I'm doing some more homework on seeing if I can get some gigs booked up, and I got to start somewhere. So I'm using my resources and doing some networking on getting into that field and getting started, and hopefully we make something of it.
Well, I think, you know, especially with you, I mean, you just got to put your mind into it, and it'll happen for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you already got so much going on. I appreciate the time today, bud. Man, I feel like I could talk to you for much longer. What do you have coming up, and or as far as rodeos, any bronc riding? Are you having rodeos coming back now?
Yeah, they're starting to open back up. It seems like I looked at the schedule. I think there's going to have some Montana ones are going to start happening, and there's not as much as there used to be. I mean, before COVID, but it seems like everything's kind of starting to get back to normal, and we're starting to get into the swing of things. And so, probably like in May, I think, is when they really start to open back up. And well, I guess we'll just see how it goes. I don't know what I don't know what the whole schedule is going to be like, because it seems like
it's changing.
Yeah, they kind of change, and I don't know. It's kind of a crazy time in the world.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, just like we have the Salinas Rodeo here in California, and it's usually in July, and now it's going to be in September.
Oh, I see.
So they're just moving, you know, they're pushing things back, but they definitely want to hold them. And I know some of the other cowboys I talked to, you know, you need to you need to get so many points just to qualify for NFR. And I know that was a big deal they had last year. Like, so that's why you had big name cowboys at smaller rodeos, because they needed the points.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, we need to get you to some more rodeos so you can get some more wins. Did you get a buckle for the Kalispell win?
No, I didn't. I got a check though.
Yeah, check counts for more sometimes, right?
Yeah, for sure. That sure. Check helps out.
Check definitely helps.
Yeah.
That'd be nice to see you get some more wins. And then, what are you doing with the training? Do you have how many horses do you have?
Right now, like for saddle horse training.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I got a few clients lined up as soon as it starts to warm up a little bit here. They're going to send me their horses, their young horses, and I'll train their horses for a while and send them back, and I'll just keep clients moving through like that. And then I got some of my own saddle horses that I get them going good, and then I advertise them and I'll sell them, and then just get another one and keep.
And then train.
That's what I got. Yeah, I get them trained up and get them sold. But yeah, I got a list of clients that are gonna want their young horses worked with here shortly, so that'll be good. That'll help out.
How do you get? I mean, is it just word of mouth? How do you get clients?
Yeah, kind of word of mouth. It's a lot of it's your reputation. Social media helps out. Yeah, just kind of a word of mouth. Social media is basically how I've been doing it, and that seems to work so far. I mean, I think I could improve some way. I just haven't figured it out yet.
I tell you, man, it's the hardest part, it seems.
Yeah.
I think because like I talk to my daughters and they're 25, 27. You know that the younger generation, and a lot of it's just putting stuff out there. You know.
Yeah, for sure.
So because they keep changing the algorithms and all that, from what I understand. So I don't know. It's just a weird deal.
Yeah, it's definitely got to market yourself, and that's, I don't know. I usually just put stuff on like social media, and I got a really good group of friends. They'll share my stuff and get my name out there, and it's I feel like it's starting to my name's starting to get to be known a little bit more in the horse training aspect, and that's helping out a lot. I got people contacting me wanting their horses worked with, and I've had customers that have given me a very good reputation, and I sure appreciate all their help.
Yeah, it's got to be a big help. What are your social media sites for my listeners to follow you up on?
My Instagram is Dougie Fresh Hall, all one word. My face,
explain Dougie Fresh.
Dougie Fresh, like the actual Dougie Fresh?
No. Why did you come up with Dougie Fresh Hall?
I don't know. When I got to high school, like all of my friends, I didn't even know who Dougie Fresh was. But they all just called me Dougie Fresh. So awesome. I just used that as my Instagram handle.
Dude,
anyway.
Yeah, that's awesome though.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So Dougie Fresh Hall, all one word on Instagram, and then what is it on Facebook?
Dougie Hall on Facebook, and then I got a TikTok too. I just got that like a few days ago. I've been playing with that. I think that thing's kind of fun.
Well, I always tell people like my thing on TikTok is boring. Like I'm literally just sitting here talking on a microphone. But like for you could put together some really cool videos. And I met one guy that was on my show, Josiah Smith, and he's a comedian and an actor, and he's got, I think, 500,000 followers on TikTok now. And
oh really?
And because he had a couple of his videos go viral, and he's now making a little bit of money from it, and he's gotten some opportunities I can't talk about, but he's got some opportunities coming up because of his TikTok. But he's like with you, I would think with training horses and showing the bucking horses and showing the horses and all that, that's something that's video friendly.
Yeah, for sure. I think I'm gonna take a crack at that and see where it goes, and we'll have a lot of fun doing it.
So what is it on TikTok? What's your handle on TikTok?
I do not remember.
Oh man.
If you give me a second, I could like pull it up and look. It'll take take like 10 seconds. It's just Dougie Hall, all one word.
Dougie Hall, DOUGIEHALL.
Yeah.
Okay. That's awesome, man. I'll have to follow you on TikTok now too.
Heck yeah, that'll be fun.
If you ever get back down to California, man, hit me up. Yeah,
for sure, I will. I don't know when. I mean, I imagine I'll be down there next month or two, at least one more time.
You down to Course Gold?
Yeah, down to Course Gold.
Okay. Yeah, maybe I'll get up there because my territory ends right around Fresno, but I can go up a little bit further.
Oh, okay, perfect. Sounds good.
Yeah. Well, hey, bud, I appreciate the time today, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you. Thanks for talking to me.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see your future successes, man. It's gonna be great to follow you along.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Glad we got put in touch.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll talk to you soon, bud.
Yeah, talk to you soon.